You've heard Billie Eilish's song about it, but what actually was the lost Library of Alexandria? It was a real place founded by Ptolemy II in Egypt. Around 283 BC, he wanted it to be the center of the world, where all the world's knowledge could be collected. It's often called the ancient world's greatest library, but that title is a bit misleading. There were several libraries in Alexandria, and while they did contain many scrolls and books, they weren't all in one place. The most famous story about the library comes from a letter by Roman philosopher Pliny the Younger about Julius Caesar setting part of it on fire in 48 BC. This may not be entirely true, or at least it's heavily exaggerated. The library did burn down at some point, but it was probably a slow decline over many years rather than a sudden destruction. Much of what we know about the library comes from a letter by a man named Aristarchus, who was the head librarian. In it, he describes how the collection started out as the personal library of Ptolemy I, who was the ruler of Egypt at the time. Over time, his successors added more and more books until it became the center of the known world for scholarship. According to Aristarchus, Ptolemy II sent agents all over the known world to collect books. They even had ships that would go out to sea to retrieve any that they could find there. These books were then copied and put into the library. What was actually in the library? We don't know for sure, but it was probably a lot like other libraries of the ancient world. So we can make an educated guess. It would have contained maps of the world, as well as scientific and philosophical texts. Since Alexandria was a major center for trade, it's likely that some of the books would have been on subjects like astronomy, navigation, and geography. There may have also been works of poetry and literature, as well as historical accounts of the many great battles that had been fought around the Mediterranean. But there would also have been books on magic and mythology, since these were popular subjects in ancient Egypt. Much of what we think we know about Greek and Egyptian mythology comes from these texts, which were written down by scholars who were copying them from earlier sources. Did the library really burn down? No one knows for sure. It's possible that the fire that destroyed much of the library was started by Julius Caesar, but it's also possible that it was a separate event that happened much later. All we know for sure is that the library burned down sometime before the year 391, when it was described as a ruin by a philosopher named Cinesius. If you like stories like this, stay tuned for more.